Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. I'm of course your host, David On Point Huffman. Thank you very much for joining us here at Prime Sports World. On today's episode of the show, we're going to be breaking down the United Bowl that went down on Saturday afternoon. Shout out to the Louisville Kings in their inaugural season. They take home the UFL championship. Starting the season 0-3, and then going on to win the title. Pretty damn impressive, pretty damn coaching job by their Chris Redman. Shout out to Chris Redman. Congratulations to you, UFL champion. Shout out to Chandler Rogers, who's a quarterback for the Louisville Kings, also UFL champion. Then we're going to talk about the UFL awards that were announced periodically throughout last week, MVP, all that good stuff. We're going to talk about all of that stuff here at Prime Sports World here today. I'm, of course, your host, David On Point Huffman. If you like what we're doing here at Prime Sports World, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. I will be doing WWE content on Thursday, so don't miss any of that stuff. Without further ado, let's talk about the UFL Bowl, the United Bowl. The defenders could not defend their title as they fall 27-20 to the Louisville Kings. And this really was the tale of kind of two halves as the DC defenders were up 16-7 at halftime. They were only able to hit a blast of a kick by Matthew McCrane in the fourth quarter to make it 20-27, and they were just unable to ever get the football back and be able to get the football back and then drive and then have an opportunity to tie the game or take the lead with a 2-point conversion as the DC defenders or Louisville Kings scored 20 unanswered points in the second half of this game to win. To win the game 20-27. This game really the highs of this game definitely changed majorly with the injury to the starting quarterback for the DC defenders. Jason B wasn't exactly super good in this game even before he got hurt, but they were running the ball so extremely effectively that he didn't really have to do a ton. But once Jason Bean got knocked out of the game and EJ Perry was basically asked to kind of mount the comeback here, and he's only been on the football team for a couple weeks. Just unable to really get it going. He threw a terrible interception in the fourth quarter as well. Jason Beat had a shoulder injury. Hopefully he's going to be healthy again for next season. But yeah, just not a great day at the office for either of these teams when it comes to passing the football. Where they really made their pay dirt was running the football effectively. So for a team for DC, 8 of 20, 57 yards and a pick. They ran the football for 7.5 yards per carry, 35 carries for 262 yards and a touchdown. They long carry of Vizion Valade had a long for 54 yards, and he also had the lone touchdown on offense for the DC defenders. And then Cornell Powell, 3 for 40 in the receiving game, but just not a lot of production out of the passing game on either side. And then on the other side, Chandler Rogers, 9 of 17, 81 yards and 2 interceptions, both of those in the first half. And then Ian Wheeler had a long 2 games in a row for Ian Wheeler with a long touchdown to the house, 10 of 81 and a touchdown. James Robinson, another long touchdown for him as well, 16 of 69 and a touchdown for James Robinson. Had a cup of coffee in the National Football League. Maybe he'll get another opportunity to get back into the National Football League as well. And then, Tarek Black, 1 for 40 and a touchdown. And then, this really came down to Cameron Gill was amazing in this game on the defensive side of the football for the Louisville Kings. I know the stats, it only really has him as 1 tackle for loss, three solo tackles, but the dude was all over the football field. There's a reason that he won DPOY. The dude was just an absolute difference maker and game changer on the defensive side of the football. But really, it comes down to like DC was just unable to just rectify the quarterback injury. I mean, they won most of the major categories in this game. I mean, 319 yards of total offense. They had less penalties than Louisville did. They had more first downs than Louisville did. They had 57 more plays than Louisville did. But when it came down, Louisville had 1 opportunity in the red zone. They scored a touchdown. DC had 2 opportunities in the red zone. They didn't get a single touchdown either of those opportunities. They won time possession by roughly 2.5 minutes. But 3 turnovers for DC, 2 of them for Louisville. They had 3 fumbles, 2 of them that they lost in this game. And then, it's just a tough week. Matt McCrane also had an absolute rocket shot with about 9 minutes left in the final frame of this game for 6 points. And I for 4 points. I love the 4-point play. I always wish the NFL would implement the 4-point play into their into their repertoire, because I think it's a really fun rule. And thank you very much, everybody watching us over there on YouTube. I got 4 people over there. Check this out. But the Louisville, it's just like the DC defenders' offense just struggled mightily when Jason Bean went out. He re-injured that left shoulder that knocked him out of the previous game in the semifinals. He was able to come back in that game. He was unable to come back at this one. First play of the fourth quarter, Ian Wheeler takes that house call, 40 yards for the touchdown. Biggest play of the entire season for the Louisville defenders, and that's all they really needed after that. CJ Perry was intercepted by Cameron Dantzler. 2 just players, Jason Robinson, powered into the end zone. So suddenly the Kings went from trailing, 20. I think it was they were down 9 to 16, and then all of a sudden they rattled back up. They're up 27 to 16. Just all of a sudden. Another interesting strategy here. So in the final frame, DC basically lost. Intentionally, they lost 2 yards, right? And I think it's something that strategy we're going to kind of talk about here a little bit later in the way the UFL approaches things. Because if you have a kicker that has that rocket shot of a leg, and you have the opportunity to potentially pick the 4-point play, if you just lose a couple yards, so DC intentionally lost 2 yards to set up McCrane for the 60-yard field goal. The kick was absolute belted through their uprights, and I think it'll give they had 1 more opportunity with 7 minutes remaining. Perry battled to the very end. The drive stalled there on the 4th down inside the red zone, aren't able to convert. And then they were just unable to get that going. And then, Ian Wheeler named the United Bowl MVP, rushing for 81 yards and the go-ahead touchdown. And then the Kings also, so they got the sweep of the Louisville defenders, getting 3 wins against them against the DC defenders, 3 wins again for this game. So, And yeah, as I mentioned, yeah, the Louisville Kings in their very first season, their inaugural season, they go on to win the championship in their very first year. So congratulations to them. Congratulations to everybody involved with the Louisville Kings. As congratulations to you. Also, congratulations to the fan base that showed up for this game. 19,000 fans in the sold-out Audi Field. The beer snake was out. The beer snake was fun. This more than doubled DC's regular season home average of 9,000, and it's the third largest crowd at Audi Field for UFL games since the Defenders. 12,160 home over in week number 3. I mean, the UFL actually announced the game was completely sold out solely before kickoff. And 50 Cent did put out a pretty cool halftime show for the United Bowl. But really, yeah, this was Louisville's day as they go in, they get the victory. They beat DC in their own house as they hosted the championship game for the UFL. And, we'll see what ends up these teams looking like. We'll do a little more of a recap next week. Talk a little bit about the players that have got NFL offers. Shout out to Akeem Butler, who signed a contract or at least going to have an NFL tryout with the Denver Broncos here in the next couple of weeks as spring training gets ready to get started here for the NFL. So let's talk about game ball. Yeah, I got to give my game ball to Ian Wheeler. Had the go-ahead touchdown in this game, 40-yard house call coming off of that interception. Ian Wheeler coming off that basically the first play in the first half. He just busts one for an absolute first down. Ian Wheeler gets my game ball and the final game ball of the 2026 UFL season. So thank you very much for everyone who has took part in the UFL and talked about the UFL and joined us in the conversation when it comes to the UFL as we continue to be the number one hub for all things UFL. And then from there, we got some awards quickly to talk about. We got the MVP, Jack Plummer. The right guy won the MVP here. He had an absolute standout season, puts up some pretty good numbers, and really helped the Orlando Storm, which kind of started off to kind of a rough start there. Third quarterback to the league to win the award, as Adrian Martinez won in Birmingham 2024, and then Bryce Parker won the MVP. Jack Plummer was arguably the best quarterback in the league here. He took the Orlando Storm to the number 1 seed. He led the UFL in passing yards, completions, total quarterback rating. He only threw 17 touchdown passes, and he completed 65% of his passes and threw just 1 interception all season long. Jack Plummer was absolutely the man when it came to the UFL this season, and he also, to highlight his 2026 campaign, he holds the UFL record for 255 pass attempts without an interception. And then for the game, he threw 238 yards, completing 24 of 36 pass attempts. And then, his most notable play of the game was a 71-yard touchdown run, his second rushing touchdown of that entire day. So shout out to Jack Plummer. Congratulations on taking home that award. And then, the Kings, they get their guy, Cam Gill, as I mentioned earlier, 2026 UFL Defensive Player of the Year. The dude was just an absolute menace on defense and really had a big part in the turning around of the Louisville Kings for them. He had the league-leading 12 tackles for loss. He had the single-season record with 10.5 sacks, equated for negative 71 yards. Number of play. Force also added 39 tackles, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery on the year for Cam Gill. The dude was just an absolute menace on defense, and shout out to him as he wins the UFL's Defensive Player of the Year. Oh, sorry. And then Coach of the Year. Coach of the Year goes to a familiar name. If you're anyone familiar with the Saturday spring football, we got Anthony Beck was the head coach of the Orlando Storm, and he is the 2026 UFL Coach of the Year. He is just one of those steady head coaches that TJ always talks about. He's one of the guys that you're willing to run a wall through. He got the head coaching job on December 23rd, 2025, and he led the team to a league best record, 8-2 in the regular season, and the franchise's first playoff appearance in their inaugural season. This actually is the season where he's And over the 4 seasons that he's been a head coach in the UFL and the XFL, he's got a 30-10 record. So if you have Anthony Beck as your head coach, you're probably going to be making the playoffs. You're probably going to have a pretty good record. Storm winning 4 of their 5 games, with Jack Plummer, as I mentioned earlier, when he won the MVP award. So, but yeah, shout out to Anthony Beck. Very, very, very well deserved, as he's the coach of the year for the UFL. And then a big shout out to Akeem Butler, as I mentioned him earlier on in the show, as he gets the tryout with the Denver Broncos to try to make their 2020-26 squad. The dude is just an absolute beast when it comes to being in the UFL. He's just one of the best players in the whole damn league. And he also became the first player in league history to win this award multiple times after he earned the award in 2024 as well. But yeah, the former Ohio State led the UFL with 641 yards on 29 receptions. Also paced the league receiving yards per game with 71.2 and yards per reception 22. One of the premier big play threats throughout the season. He recorded 9 receptions of 30 more yards and added 3 touchdown catches, including 75-yard catch in Week 4 against the DC Defenders. Akeem Butler should be in the National Football League. He should be a contributor to some sort of team, and I hope that he gets a real opportunity. And he also he's cemented, he's in his first place in spring football history. He's the all-time leader in career receiving yards now, surpassing 1,800 yards for Jonathan Abrams. He now has 2,100 yards while playing spring football. One of the premier playmakers in the entire spring football and the history of spring football. And hopefully Akeem Butler gets a real shot to get an opportunity to play in the National Football League. And then from there, we got the Special Teams Player of the Year, and this is an award that I would love to see implemented into the National Football League, because I think we have too often special teamers they just don't get the love that they really deserve. I mean, they only get the one Pro Bowl spot. I would love to see the Special Teams Player of the Year. The guy who's the gunner making tackles in the return game, or he's one of the return specialists. Tanner Brown, who's had, I think he had 4 field goals over 60 yards this season, which counted for 16 points in the new UFL scoring here. Connected on 25 of 28 field goals. He also drilled 60-yarder. He led the league in scoring with 99 total points, converting 25 field goals and 23 extra points. So Tanner Brown, I would be legitimately shocked if he's not on an NFL roster this season. So, and as I mentioned here, it wasn't factored in the award, but he in that playoff game against the St. Louis Battle, Tanner Brown had 2 kicks of over 60 yards and made the longest field goal of the year at 63 yards in that game. Wasn't counted, but he still, you could see why Tanner Brown was an extremely productive player in the UFL this season. And I would love to see the NFL bring a Special Teams Player of the Year award into the fold there in the National Football League. But 2026 UFL awards, those are all you guys right there. MVP Jack Plummer, Coach of the Year Anthony Beck, TPOY Cam Gill, Offensive Player of the Year Akeem Butler, and Special Teams Player of the Year Tanner Brown. Looking at the names here, did the UFL and the voters get this right when it comes to these awards? Also finally, head-to-head predictions battle between me and Mr. TJ Hopkins. TJ just beat me pretty soundly this season, 27-15 for TJ and 24-18 for me, as I really kind of faltered here down the stretch, as me and him were neck to neck, but he just kind of took the cake at the last couple of weeks here. But thank you very much for joining us here for 2026 UFL season. This has been our United Bowl recap and our 2025 awards recap show as well. We'll be back here next week putting a final bow onto this season that was in 2026 for the UFL. Talk about how we thought the implementing of the new rules went about, and just talk about the players that are now currently getting NFL offers in from the UFL. That'll happen next Tuesday, and that'll be it for us for UFL content for at least a couple months now. And then we'll probably swing back into some National Football League stuff. We'll get more into some NBA content. As I know, we've been chomping at the bit to get into a mock draft here. So let's get that content ready to go. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us. My name is David On Point Huffman. This has been Prime Sports World. Let me know what you thought about the United Bowl. I thought the game itself was super entertaining. Even with the kind of the hiccups with the bad quarterback play at times, I still thought I really enjoyed the ride, and I really enjoyed this UFL season. We'll have a full recap of UFL in 2026 next week. So you don't want to miss any of that content. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. If you like what we're doing here at Prime Sports World, I'm David On Point Huffman, and we bring the heat. I'll see you guys on Thursday. Have a great day and a happy hump day from everybody here at Prime Sports World.